Women are being weaponized against men.
The UK government has announced plans to treat hatred of women as a form of extremism. A review of the UK's counter-extremism strategy has been ordered to determine how best to tackle this growing threat. Dr. Sarah Mega from the University of Melbourne researches the relationship between misogynistic beliefs and violent extremism.
Women are being weaponized against men. The UK has announced that it will now treat acts of misogyny as terrorism, which means that they will be able to prosecute men as terrorists, domestic terrorists, allowing them to incarcerate men indefinitely, strip them of their human rights, and possibly control alt delete them, because basically, taking their life away, because that's how dangerous misogyny absolutely is. They can come into your home, they can seize you, take your property, and strip you of all your basic human rights for whatever they perceive as misogyny. And this can be done to boys. Watch to the end of the video to fully understand what the implications are of this situation, why women are being weaponized against men, and how this is going to affect both men and women going into the future. And now let's just go ahead and jump right back into the video.
Joins us now. Dr. Mega, thank you for your time. Now, you actually met with the UK's Home Office in June. What in particular did they want to ask about your research as they considered this move?
They were quite interested in exploring this link further and have been for a couple of years. We've been in consultations because of some high-profile events like the murder of Sarah Everard a few years ago in the UK, the recognition that a number of these violent extremist groups express quite hostile, misogynistic ideologies. And so they were interested in how, policy-wise, we might make better use of an understanding of what is this connection between misogynistic attitudes and support for violent extremism.
So what's your reaction to the UK's plans to treat misogyny or extreme misogyny as a form of extremism?
Generally, I'm in favor of, this move to try and better understand what the connection is. But I think perhaps isolating extreme misogyny as its own form of violent extremism, rather than understanding how it underpins and is causal of various forms of violent extremism, as our research finds, might be a bit problematic, because by segmenting it off as its own isolated form of ideology and maybe associated only with incel extremism, for example, this misses how a number of varieties of political ideology across the right-wing spectrum, Islamism, even amongst left-wing extremist groups, misogyny in our research was found to be a causal factor amongst all these forms.
So basically, what they're doing is they're not only planning to go after people who have radical thoughts like the INCL community, they specifically called out the volcels, men who are voluntarily celibate, men who are choosing to remain single, not get into relationships or be physically intimate with women. They believe that these men are also dangerous. They specifically use the word volcel, and these men also have to be observed and could potentially be brought up on domestic terrorism charges. So single men, this is an attack on single men, y'all. Single men. And there are already some people who are coming out and saying that this is not the answer. This just illustrates how much Western society hates men, and the fact that men are hated more than cockroaches.
Let's look at this story on the front of the Telegraph about the misogyny law and how this could be, in some quarters, there are concerns, it could be a risk to free speech. Tell us more about what the law is designed to stop.
This story originated at the weekend, and it's about misogyny now being defined as potentially terrorism, the same as we have our laws governing against our the far right and Islamists, and the extreme misogyny will now be lumped together under this, and you are meant to be reporting anyone that exhibits extreme misogynistic views. So that in theory could, if you've got a young lad in school and the teacher could hear him say something that sounds extremely misogynistic, reporting him to PREVENT, which is the anti-terrorist, stop people getting too radicalised in whatever area they're getting radicalised. But there's so many questions with this, isn't there? It's like, how do you define what is extreme misogyny? I mean, if we're talking about sexually assaulting and violence against women, we already have laws for that. So what is extreme misogyny? No one, Yvette Cooper, who's come up with this, couldn't define it herself at the weekend. And where does it limit free speech? It's like, I think the phrase she used was unpalatable beliefs or something or other. And it's like, well, what? How do you do? Are you now going to govern my thoughts? You know, I might think something. I'm not going to act on it.
Yeah. But then how do you tackle the problem of this rise of this toxic masculinity where we're seeing an increase in sexual assaults? One in 14 school-aged girls saying that they've been touched when they haven't wanted to be, and the rise of the kind of awful rhetoric that these young boys are being indoctrinated in by the Tates of this world. What is the solution if it's not this?
Well, it's not an overnight solution for a start. I don't think it's a legal law laid. I've once said before, and I got cancelled in an NHS contact because of it, that the challenge that we have today is what I call the defenestration of masculine power. And by that, what I mean is that young men growing up today have not had a masculine role model or enough masculine role models to show them right from wrong and how to constrain their power and to be polite to women. And
how to be polite to women? Guys, you have the weakest generation of men ever. Men are no longer approaching women, speaking to women. Men are basically doing what they're told. All right? They have no voices anymore. And then the message out there is misogyny. Any thoughts whatsoever, men are punished for. And then men are also being punished for no longer approaching women, for no longer speaking to women, for no longer dating. They literally said that as part of this counterterrorism act, they're going after volcels, which are men who are voluntarily celibate and choose to avoid avoid physical intimacy. Now, keep in mind, these are not men that have any types of ills towards women. They're basically just bachelors choosing not to. They're basically just bachelors, single men choosing not to sleep around, saying that they have no interest in in physical intimacy. They just want to mind their business, stay home, play video games, work, and live their best life. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's basically the average single man today. So basically, if you say anything, guys, it's not just in school, it's in the workforce as well. If you say anything that is deemed misogynistic by a woman, a teacher, anyone, they can pick up the phone now and say this person said something that they view to be extremely misogynistic. The boy or the man will be placed in handcuffs, hauled off, taken into questioning, and potentially held indefinitely. Their constitutional rights, their human rights will be immediately suspended, and they can spend the rest of their lives locked away, charged with treason. And under these laws, they can be held indefinitely. Guys, this is only going to push men further out of society. And anyone can make anything up. A girl can simply say, oh, he said this. It doesn't matter if he said anything or not, because now it is treated as terrorism. So they have to treat every situation as serious. Okay? This is also basically boys who are struggling in school and society already because they are not wanted there. Now they're headed off. Now they'll be dragged off. And this is what women can do. They can destroy a man now by simply saying he said something misogynistic. It's not about... It's because, guys, you see, it fell apart. They tried to use the whole laws. Okay, well, men are a danger to women in society. Men are, it's about harassment. So guess what? Men are no longer approaching women. Men are no longer talking to women. Men are basically men are staying to themselves. So that's not good enough anymore. Okay? That's not good enough anymore. Now they're going to punish you and arrest you for having thoughts. All right? Basically, if you're in school and if you discuss, you don't have to discuss. They've already banned young men from discussing the Tates. If you simply say anything they deem to be misogynistic, and the police will now come and take you away. Not even school administrators, the cops. All right? Counterterrorism units. This is on an extraordinary level. Calling misogyny terrorism. And boys will be hauled away. Men will be hauled away at work. Oh, he said something that was extreme misogyny. All right, this is terrorism. He has to be taken away. This sounds madness. And then listen to these reporters. Well, if we don't confront it this way, then how else are we going to confront it? It's just so bad. It's worse than it's ever been. These people are crazy, guys. This is only going to lead to more men isolating themselves from society, not getting into relationships, more men going MGTOW, not simply walking away, and expressing, and, men with alternatives. No, guys, like I said, I'm not a supporter of MGTOW, but this is where it's headed. It is headed towards men saying that we're going to separate ourselves from society and from relationships and basically hide away because we don't want to go to prison. We don't want to be labeled. We don't want any of this. We don't want any of these problems. We'll make just enough money to survive and thrive and no more. All right. I told you guys we're heading towards a society where every man will be walking around with a body cam. Every man will be walking around with a body cam, and every interaction that men have with women, it's going to be recorded. It's going to be recorded. Men are going to start, did the man leave the house? Yep. Is his body cam on? Yep. And you're going to have men going to places and doing everything to avoid interacting with someone who can basically say, hey, he said something or did something. School is going to become such a horrible place for young men. I mean, Gen Z is horrible. They're the way that they think and behave, they're so indoctrinated. It's crazy. But you're going to have, guys, you're just going to have a reality that no one wants to live in. No one wants to live in. We're already in a reality where no one wants to live, but it's only going to further exacerbate the condition, the situation, and then being told that don't believe your thought, don't believe what you're hearing or seeing, just do as we're told. And by the way, we need a society where men are willing to sacrifice themselves for women and for girls. Whatever happened to the concept of equality? You see, guys, this is why I said, guys, it's going to be terrible. It's going to be absolutely terrible. This is only going to further divide men and women. And guys, I've said this plenty of times. If you want to destroy a country, destroy the men. And if you want to destroy the men, use the women to destroy the men. It's as simple as that. Guys, if you're enjoying the content, subscribe to our newsletter for my personal thoughts, insights, and a free copy of my ebook, The Blueprint for Escaping the Rat Race. Click the link in the description to get your free copy. Also, subscribe to the Angry Guy Clips channel, where we post shorter videos and video responses, and also the Angry Guy Live channel, where we live stream. Both channels are linked in the description. And finally, protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Click the link in the description to get started and support the channel. What do you guys think regarding all of this? Do you agree women are being weaponized against men? Let me know your thoughts, and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away, and cheers.